What is up? Happy Monday morning. Good morning to y'all. How are we doing? The 49ers unfortunately didn't win a Super Bowl this year, but neither did the Eagles. Cry, Eagles cry. We're going to talk all about it. I'm pretty sure most Niner fans are happy that the Eagles lost. I know I am. Let's get into it. What is up? It's Victory Monday. Legendary answers. I mean, it kind of feels like it. Obviously, I wish the 49ers were celebrating a Super Bowl, but only one team can. And in a way, I feel a little vindicated. I think the players were most likely because all week, 49ers players were getting asked these silly questions and media was pressing them. And it was like, the Niners shouldn't be talking. Debo said a lot of stuff that pretty much was factual. Brandon Ayuk, Robbie Gold, like everything they said, attack the secondary, attack the secondary. The defensive line makes the secondary look good. If you can fortify the trenches up front and attack the secondary, that'll expose them. And I think that's what happened. Obviously, both quarterbacks played amazing. The big difference was the fumble in the game, right? Return for a touchdown. So the Chiefs played great on offense. The Eagles played great on offense, but it was the defense that was the key. And I said the Chiefs have to clutch up somehow on defense, and I think that was pretty much. I mean, obviously they didn't stop Jalen, but they made the big defensive play. But that was it. They attacked the secondary, and Andy Reid. I said you can't bet against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and they proved it. You can't bet. You can't play against those two guys. Like they are a dynamic duo. All of them played good. Smitty was mad. Smitty was triggered. Trust me, I didn't watch it live. I went back last night and I watched the end clip. He was done. And this morning, me, Smitty, C-Mac, and Vlad, we were all in a text battle because C-Mac and myself were on the same page of the Eagles lost. And Smitty was so mad about the holding call. Let's get to the holding call. Everybody, all the Eagles fans, obviously people that were rooting for the Eagles. Oh, you can't make that call. You can't. You absolutely can make the call, and you should. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. To me, it's crazy to argue that just because it's that point in the game, that you can't call a penalty. You need to call a penalty in the most critical junction of the game. Because had the Eagles got away with the hold, if they would have got away with that, then the Chiefs could have said, hey, how come you don't call those penalties? So the refs have to stay consistent. That's the one thing I feel like through the year, the refs need to work on their consistency because that was the right call. Bradbury admitted it. And Smitty is live now. He'll never be able to delete that of him crying, oh, yeah, he shouldn't have held. It was a horrible call. It was the right call. It may not be the call you like if you're rooting for that team. Bottom line, don't commit a penalty, especially in the junction of the game. They're gonna call it. So, yeah, no, it was a good game. It was a great Super Bowl. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better game like that. It was offense. Both teams kept firing back. Touchdown, big play. Jalen Hurts did some big plays. It was fun. But they contained him a little bit on that RPO towards the end. And I feel like the Eagles, I mean, they tried to run the ball. They were trying to keep the Chiefs off the field. They knew Mahomes was gonna light them up. He carved it every time the Chiefs pretty much had the ball. Almost every time they marched down the field. The third quarter, after the Chiefs came out and scored a touchdown right away, the Eagles had the ball the whole third quarter. They were literally trying to keep Mahomes off the field, and they knew it. I mean, it was a good game plan, good strategy, but Mahomes and Reid were in their bag. I mean, some of those plays they called, the touchdown to Tony, literally the same play on the other side to Skywalker. They just flipped it. It's crazy. The motion, Andy Reid was in his bag, man. That guy, it's incredible. And again, this is a guy that took many years to figure it out. He got his quarterback. That is what the Niners need to do, is figure out a quarterback. One thing the Chiefs did well was neutralize the Eagles' defensive line. They had no sacks. Remember we talked about when the Niners played them, 70 sacks, the big number. These guys are relentless. The Chiefs didn't allow a sack in that game, and that is one thing the 49ers have to do. I feel like the Niners have to fortify those trenches, especially the right side, because the Chiefs did a really, really good job of neutralizing that sack. Let me see. How about them Eagles, Omar, huh? Niners secondary wasn't any better, so they would have lost anyways. That's actually false. The Niners secondary in that NFC Championship held it down. Charvarius Ward and Lenore played pretty good. They didn't allow big plays. They didn't allow those big over-the-top plays that the Eagles did on the Chiefs. I will say the Chiefs secondary, very young, very inexperienced. Most of them are rookies, I guess. Very inexperienced secondary. But they made the plays in the second half. Quez Watkins deleted his tweet the other day. We posted on Twitter. He came after Debo, told him to hold your L, STFU. He was coming at Debo, and Quez Watkins is one to talk. He hasn't done anything this season. He had that one opportunity, like Jalen. Actually, this play from Jalen was amazing because Jalen played good. He played elite last night. He really played amazing. I got no hate on Jalen, but I'll tell you, there was a play. I think the rusher came in his face. He still throws the dime. He throws a dime. Quez Watkins wide open, just threw his hands. He goes and deletes his comment after the loss. So I'm going to say, Quez, you can't be talking if you have no catches through the whole season. Can't be talking. That's all I'm going to say. That was crazy. But, I'll say this, though. Jalen, hell of a quarterback, and he proved it again, all season. People doubted him. You can't be mad at Jalen. He played really well. Him and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, they got something special there. So they're tough. They just got to Niners got to continue to get that depth on that secondary. Hopefully Emmanuel Mosley could come back. He was really looking great before the injury. Lenore kind of rose up in that second half in the playoffs of the season. And obviously Ward was really solid this year. So we got to continue to build up on that. Again, defensive line, though, 49ers, I think also need to build that up in the trenches. We talked about the O-line, which looked great. Like Kansas City's O-line looked great last night. 49ers need to recreate that and do what the Chiefs did and just really build the trenches. But on the D-line, too, we have to be able to get to the quarterback. And I feel like Bosa just did way too much this year. And at the end of the year, towards the playoffs, he just gassed out. Get him some help. They need a pass rusher on the other side, which is what we talked about. Maybe an interior lineman also. So, but it's going to be interesting. Niners secondary versus Mahomes. Oh, yeah, Niners got gassed by Mahomes, 100%. I mean, that's the thing. Mahomes is such a good quarterback. He proved it last night. Like, you can't count the guy out. He played well, too. Obviously, he deserved his win last night. He came back. They just couldn't stop the Chiefs. They could not stop at any time. They press him, and he continued to push up. He ran out of the pocket. His mobility was still there, and he was throwing dimes, So, shout out to Mahomes, man. Can't deny him. Great player. Both quarterbacks, phenomenal last night. And that, to me, is what the Niners continue. They've been trying to figure that out for years. Who's the quarterback? Like, Hurts played at an MVP level last night, and it wasn't enough to beat the Chiefs because Mahomes was just better. Crazy to me. Definitely crazy. Both of those quarterbacks, man, are just phenomenal. Great players, and my hat's off to both of them. 49ers, hopefully they figure out their quarterback situation because that is what's been limiting them. They have a great team. They get to this big point of the game, and quarterback fails them every single year. It is frustrating, but it is nice to know that we can win games and get far. But the ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl. We don't want to sit here and say, well, maybe next year, So it is unfortunate. But, the Niner players, I'm sure they're hungry, as they always have been. And I'm hoping that Brock Purdy's surgery goes well. Hopefully Trey can, get healthy and improve himself. It's going to be a crazy off season. We are now officially in the off season. Now we have to figure out what the hell is going to happen with the quarterback position. We don't know. We don't know. There's so many questions, so many variables we still don't know. We should know. It came down to the turnover. Yeah, honestly, that was the game. That was the difference of the game, was the turnover. You're right. And that's what I said earlier, is that fumble turnover turned into a touchdown was literally the end of the game, because Hurts played a pretty perfect game other than that mistake. And Mahomes played a pretty perfect. If Mahomes would have threw a pick or something and the Eagles capitalized, they would have won the game. So it did come down to that big turnover. You're right. So I agree with that. I definitely agree that turnover was it. But both offenses play phenomenal. You can't hate on those. Defense of the Eagles, that the Eagles though, the defense, they kept saying they were the best in the league, And Mahomes, man, just proved them wrong. Kadarius Toney's return was huge. Yeah, the special teams came up big in a big situation. Kadarius Toney's return was monster. That was a huge return. Put him in perfect position. I thought he was going to break it loose, but yeah, Kadarius Toney, crazy man. This guy just salvaged his career. He was basically written off. He was on the Eagles, right? Or on the Giants, and everybody wrote him off that he was going to be this bust. I thought he was going to be. He looked great in college, came into the league, and, flamed out. Chiefs took a flyer on the guy, and man, did Andy Reid turn this guy around. Touchdown, the big return, the guy. Imagine him in a full off season with Andy Reid in this offense. He's going to get this training under him. He just turned his career around. So, yeah, he turned his career around. Brendan says, all you really need is a good quarterback and a good offense and a mediocre defense. Nah, you need to go to O-line. Look at that O-line last night for the Chiefs. Was money. Because, again, they didn't allow any sacks from the Eagles. 49ers need to realize that O-line is going to be the key in free agency and offseason. They need to fortify those trenches, because that right there, to me, was huge. Mahomes was pretty much playing in a clean pocket last night. You had the Eagles, who had 70 sacks all season, and Patrick Mahomes was literally not touched last night. So, to me, I feel like you have to have a good O-line. And even the Niners, when we played the Eagles, their O-line was just bullying us. And the Eagles O-line, even though they lost, the Eagles O-line was so good last night. They were pushing pushing Jalen, a lot of those big fourth down runs and third and short runs. I mean, that O-line was just pushing. There was a touchdown where the O-line basically, they flung Jalen in there into the end zone. The Eagles O-line, even though they lost, they played their asses off, man. Asses off. So the 49ers have to get production on the whole line. Obviously, they were better than, people give them credit for, but they were not good enough. I think they need to continue to build that O-line. And we'll see what they do. JR says, we need a full season of a healthy quarterback. Definitely true. It's definitely true. We need a full season of a good, healthy quarterback. The field in Arizona was outrageously bad. Everybody was slipping. I know the Eagles players were mad last night about that field. Field is ugly. The link is terrible, though. They play in a terrible field. Nothing like that New York Jets stadium. Oh, man. Remember when the 49ers played in MetLife Field a couple years back and everybody freaking got injured? Some of these stadiums are bad. Some of these stadiums have bad field conditions. But a lot of players, when the kicker slipped, that was crazy. His ankle, did a little flip out. That was crazy. Yeah, the field positions, they didn't look good. Everybody's slipping. I don't think you could say the Chiefs would have absolutely beat the Niners. Who knows what might have happened? Refs included. It would have been a challenge. Yeah, I mean, we can't sit here. We don't know. We don't know if the Niners would have beat the Chiefs or if the Chiefs would have beat the Niners. Who knows? I just wish the Niners would have had that opportunity. And again, it goes back to the quarterback situation. I feel like the 49ers could have beat the Eagles had they had Brock Purdy, but we'll never know. Again, we've talked about this many times. We don't know. Who knows? At the end of the day, Niners need to get a quarterback, and hopefully that quarterback can stay healthy. Or what are the quarterbacks they have on the roster has to stay healthy. Bottom line is Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, whatever happens, they got to stay healthy so they can win games. You can't continue to win games when you keep shuffling things around, and it's tough. I don't know how the 49ers even got to that point. They went through 3 quarterbacks last year. So credit to Kyle to get this team there. But we need to make sure the quarterback stays healthy. And a lot of that is O-line, So Mario says the Niners will win it all and Rodgers home in Vegas. If the 49ers are in the Super Bowl next year in Vegas, I'm hyped. I can't wait. I'm hyped. I can't wait. I want to be there. I want to be in my hometown. I want to see can you imagine 49ers win a Super Bowl in my hometown? Whew. Did they change the shoes? I think some players did. I know Jalen Hurts, they showed a close-up. He changed his cleats. I'm pretty sure a lot of players changed their cleats in the game. I did see them. I'm pretty sure they did. So, we'll see. Yeah. They did change the shoes. I know Jalen Hurts for sure did. But yeah, at the end of the day, the 49ers didn't win Super Bowl. It is what it is. At the end of the day, the Super Bowl is really good. It was a very competitive game. I think that you couldn't have asked for a better game. I mean, down to the wire. I know a lot of people are upset about that call. Bradbury admitted it. He shouldn't have held him. And at the end of the day, big time play, big time game. You can't be making those penalties. I feel like the refs called a pretty good game overall. Honestly, I didn't see anything bad. I will say this: Patrick Mahomes, he played great, but he's a little bit of an actor. He played up that ankle. I think he played it up a little bit so he could get a little bit more hype, because now everybody's going to say, oh, Patrick Mahomes, he's so great. He played amazing on the ankle. Oh, my God. Look at him. He's Superman. He came into this game with the ankle. A little bit of flair for the dramatics, but they're all entertainers. Entertainment value. So I feel like he played up to it. The limping, the exaggeration, and then he walked fine after, halftime. So he played it up. But hey, doesn't change the fact that he played well. But I will say, Patty's got a little bit of the acting chops on him. He played it up, man. Charlie says he definitely did. He did. He was, when he had the head on the shoulder of the trainer, he did the, oh my, I was like, come on, Patty. All right, it's a little overkill. A little bit of an overkill. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he played good. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, couldn't ask for a better Super Bowl unless the 49ers were in it and won the game. So, Susan says, I'm more worried about the rest of the NFC West improving next season. Not a lock, and we have an easy road back. Not a lock. We have an easy road back. But guess that's true any season. Yeah, it's not a lock. The NFC West definitely is going to improve. I mean, everybody's goal this offseason is to improve. So we don't know. Niners have a lot of free agents. We can't keep everybody. We got new coaching staff here and there. We're still not finalized with all our coaches. And again, the 49ers always have turnover. And that's one thing that I got to say is the fact that they continue to win and get to the NFC Championship with all this turnover is impressive. But I feel like that's kind of what stunts them at the beginning of the season. You have all this turnover, and it takes time to adjust and transition. New coaches, new players. It takes a few weeks to gel, so you get off to a slow start. I hope that this coming year, they don't come off to a slow start. I want them to start strong so they can kind of build off that momentum, get a top seed in the league, in the playoffs. Because when you have that home field advantage, it makes a difference. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, we lost because we played on the road. No, definitely we didn't lose that because we could have beat them on the road, the Eagles. But it would have been a lot easier. The game might have been a lot different had the 49ers played at home in Levi Stadium. So I want to get that home field advantage for the playoffs, and it has to start at the beginning of the season. Obviously, you got to play your best ball at the end, but it does help when you have a good start to a season. Gives you a little cushion in the middle of the year maybe, and then you can finish out strong. But I need to see this team get off to a good start. So Nathan says, do I think the Rams will be competitive with Stafford and Kupp healthy? And again, that goes back to Susan's point is, will the NFC West continue to get better? I think yes, you would logically think the Rams will improve. They have a good coach, Sean McVay. They just brought LaFleur in as their OC. They're going to be mad they lost last year. Everybody thought they were the laughing stock. If Stafford and Kupp are healthy, their offense will get back to a competitive standpoint. I don't know how much their cap space is. I don't know what their situation is there, but I would assume they're going to try to make some adjustments. Cam Akers played really good down the stretch, actually. That was kind of an underrated thing that people didn't really see, but he played really well during the tail end of the season. If they keep him and they commit to him, he might help, get his mind right and say, all right, cool, let's run it with this team. Let me have a clean slate and restart. Or they might trade him because he was kind of on the trade block last year. But Cam Akers played good down the stretch. And again, if this offense can kind of be healthy, I think they can be competitive. But we'll see. They got a lot of players that are going to be maybe looking to go elsewhere. Jalen Ramsey, I don't know if he's going to stay as a Ram or not. But Aaron Donald, will he continue to play? I think the Rams will be a little bit more competitive. We'll see. Seattle, they were a good team last year, very young. I can see them getting better, obviously. Arizona, I don't know. That team is left for dead. I think Arizona has no chance. They're definitely in a rebuilding situation. But I could see the Rams getting more competitive. And the Seahawks were pretty good last year. So, made the playoffs, So I could see those two being the big challenges, obviously. Charlie says, in my opinion, the Rams will be bad for a while. Again, I could see them being more competitive. Whether they win games or not is to be determined. But McVay's a good coach. So when you have good coaching, sometimes you can overcome, you know, some adversity. But I will say they had a lot of injuries to key players. Cooper Kupp and Stafford, those are huge injuries. So you get those two guys healthy, they should be able to win a few more games, you know. But I still think that the Niners are definitely going to run the West. I think they'll be able to continue to maintain that momentum and should win another NFC West championship. But but it really starts with the quarterback. Can the 49ers have a healthy quarterback? Will they have we don't even know what the hell the quarterback situation is. So again, I still think that the 49ers will win this division, but there's a lot to be determined. We don't know what's going to happen with this quarterback position. We don't know. I think the 49ers will be able to get a lot of these free agents they want back, you know, the ones they are going to prioritize. I'm sure they will get most of them back, but they're going to lose a few surprises, you know. D'Amico, Robert Salah, Mike McDaniels, they're going to be fighting for some of our players. They already took coaches. They've taken players already, so get used to that. But who's going to be new guys that we are not even expecting on the radar? There's going to be guys that we're not even looking at that are going to come onto this team, and those are the guys that are going to help this team. You know, like last year, they went and got Mooney Ward. They went and got Ray McLeod. They got George Odom, Oren Burns. Like those are guys that a lot of us didn't even like think about. You know, oh, they brought him in, and they were really good key additions to this team. Now they brought in Steve Wilkes, the new defensive coordinator. And I'm sure he'll bring in a group of guys that he's used to, that he knows, just like D'Amico is doing in Houston. So I think Wilkes will bring in some guys that he's, you know, obviously close to and everything. So it's gonna be a very different looking team. Jimmy Ward said that many times this season in his press conferences. He says, "Hey, look, it's gonna be a different looking team, and we'll see. As long as the core group is there, though." Which it will be, the core is there, those guys can take this team very far. Again, you have Kittle, Bosa, Warner, Greenlaw, you know, Debo, Ayuk, Trent Williams. Those guys are your core. And then you got CMC now added to the mix, and Juice. I forget about Juice, but Juice is definitely a core player. That's your core. Those are your core players you build around. And we'll go from there. So 49ers are going to draft another QB, but it'll be a late round, says Paul. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll draft a quarterback. I'd be surprised if they didn't. Samuel says, anyone on that practice squad, you definitely know that the 49ers practice squad players will definitely be able to step up and step in. It really depends on which positions they let go and they don't bring back in free agency, you know. So if you can kind of use that as your gauge to see who maybe they really feel good about. Like, let's say, for example, I don't know, we'll just use center, right? Jason Poe is a guy that could play center or guard. If they don't really attack that position this offseason, then you're like, okay, maybe they feel really good about Jason Poe. Going to give him an opportunity. He was a practice squad guy. Or like Alfredo Gutierrez, for example. Just use an example. If, you know, they don't really bolster that side in free agency, maybe they think in their mind, we're going to give this guy an opportunity to step up. So that's the way I see it. It really depends on how the practice or how the offseason goes with free agency signing. So, you know, we'll see. Maybe they got some guys in there that could be gems. They always do. You know, McCrary Ball, I feel like it was the guy last year I mentioned in training camp a lot, linebacker. I think Aziz is going to go probably to Houston. McCrary Ball, maybe he steps in and takes that role as long as he comes into training camp and balls out. So a lot of it has to do with training camp. Okay, they're going to give this guy an opportunity. Kyle needs to see, can you make that leap? Can you show me the improvements? What have you done to get better this offseason? Can I see that in your body of work in training camp? And that's what it's going to determine. But there's always people in practice squad on this team that kind of rise up out of nowhere. Aziz was one of those guys that, you know, his first season, nobody thought he was going to be much. And he came in and just kept on improving. And he became a really solid player, a key contributor. And then when injuries happen, those guys get called up and they make the most of their opportunity. And it is. You know, football is just a game of opportunity in this league. A lot of players get injured, unfortunately. So if your next man up comes in and steals the show, that's what they need. That's the opportunity they're looking for. So, yeah, 100%. There will be players from the practice squad that step up. But, you know, we'll see how the offseason plays out. Miguel says, do I think that Verrett will be a Niner? I don't think so. I kind of feel that Jason Verrett's going to retire. I don't know. I think he's going to retire. It's just a lot of injuries, you know. I just think that there's going to be a lot of injuries there's been a lot of injuries in his career, I don't think he's going to be able to make that comeback. I love the guy, great dude on and off the field, but injuries have really ruined his career. And I feel like this year he's going to retire. It's unfortunate, but I could see it happening. But we'll see. Sacktown says Chiefs O-line is the best it's ever been. We need a player like Creed Humphrey, the best center in the league. Creed Humphrey is a boss, man. He really is. He definitely stepped up. That's the guy that I really liked coming into the draft. I remember he was one of my draft crushes that year. Beast. He's gonna earn every cent of money that's coming his way when he finally gets his contract extension soon. Guy's a beast. You're right. And again, that Chiefs O-line was so good last night. I feel that was a big key to why they won. And again, that's something that the Niners need to do, fortify those trenches. Although I did like Jake Brendel. I mean, he's not an elite guy, but that was his first year as a starting center. I think he played pretty well. But now we have to get into the point of, do you want a guy that's just going to play pretty well, or do you want an elite player like Creed Humphrey? So it's tough because there is a money situation. You got to pay Nick Bosa, salary cap. So it's going to be interesting how the 49ers attack this. I just don't want them to get bargain bin guys that are like good enough. I think Jake was really good last year in terms of he was a first year starter. I think he can get better. You know what I mean? But I think Creed Humphrey, obviously, a bigger ceiling. He's younger. He's going to be a stud in this league, a star in this league. But I like Jake Brendel. I still would get a center to develop and kind of mentor. They have some guys, again, Jason Poe and Nick Zakel, but are they going to be quality stars? I don't know. Creed Humphrey's a star. You know, Jake Brendel was good. He's not elite, but he was good. He was better than I thought he would be, especially with Alex Mack retiring. So we'll see. Yeah, Sacktown says Brendel's contract is up. It is. He is a free agent. But I agree. I think they should bring him back because he was definitely a solid contributor this year. We'll see what happens, though. Let's see if there's any more questions. Let's see. Let's be true. We need to help Trey. The coach need to learn from the two teams last night. We could probably have another trophy already, but sold out on Brock the same way they did with. I don't think they sold out on Brock. I mean, he was their only option. They had all these quarterbacks go down, and Brock was their last one remaining. And he came in as a rookie, did everything he did. So, I mean, he proved himself. Brock Purdy came in, and he left no crumbs, man. He came in, and it was like, wow, this guy's doing what he's doing as a rookie. Chip on his shoulder, whatever. He had all the pressure. There was no pressure on him. He was the last pick of the draft. Nobody expected him to even make the roster, let alone play a game. You know, training camp came. I remember everybody saying, okay, this Brock Purdy's not going to make the roster. Nate Sudfeld's your QB3. Not so fast, said Brock Purdy. He came in. He made the roster. They cut Nate Sudfeld. And he did his damn thing when he got his opportunity. So Brock Purdy, as a rookie, helped take this team to the NFC Championship. Nobody sold out on him. He proved himself. He did what he had to do. He was a fucking rookie. You know what I mean? Like, this guy was a rookie, and he balled. I love Trey. He's going to have a lot of opportunities this offseason because he's going to be the healthy one with Brock getting his surgery. But he needs to get the full playbook. Kyle needs to say, hey, look, I trust you. Here's the playbook I gave Brock Purdy. Go show me you can run it. That's literally what he has to do. He has to take his opportunity and prove himself like all the other players that have been in his position. Brock Purdy, he was given the opportunity, and he left no crumbs. That's what Trey needs to do. And I think Trey has all the talent in the world, a high ceiling, but he needs to go out and prove himself. So Susan says, if Robbie Gould moves on, is that the position you draft or pick up elsewhere? Are there any good options out there? I think Robbie stays for 2 more years. I think they'll give him a contract. But if he does move on, yeah, I think you go for a veteran kicker, whoever's available. I haven't looked at the kicker market. I'm sure you can draft someone, but I don't want a no experience kicker in the playoffs. I need a guy that has some experience because it's a pressure cooker situation. A pressure cooker situation. You do not want to get a kicker that's going to lose you a game. No. Go get me a proven commodity. If Robbie Gould leaves, replace him with a veteran. Do not go and draft a guy because you don't know what you're getting. I do not want to have another Maher situation. That guy was missing. Imagine if the Niners would have missed 4 extra points in a playoff game, and it would have been a close game. Can't have that. So I hope Robbie comes back. He sounds like he wants to come back. But yeah, I don't know. Paul says, Debo was talking about that with LaShawn McCoy. Yeah, he was on the I Am Athlete podcast yesterday. Debo, he called Bradbury trash. Let's talk about that. So last night, the Chiefs defense, obviously they didn't get any sacks, and Patrick Mahomes threw all over him. And he threw on him. They couldn't stop him. And Debo says the 49ers would have exposed them by throwing at the back end. And that's what he says. And you know, they were like, what do you mean? The Eagles secondary got all pros. He goes, I got respect for Darius Slay. That's his boy. He said, but he says Bradbury's trash. And then they were like, what? How can you say that? And then Debo explained how, you know, how Ayuk in the game, you know, the Niners played him in the NFC Championship. Ayuk had him beat it. He routed him up, you know, and obviously we know if Purdy would have stepped up and made that pass, touchdown. He had him beat. And that's basically what he's saying. He says that Ayuk was beating him and Bradbury's trash. I wouldn't say he's trash because he is a good player. Debo kind of took it to the next level, but he was one of the reasons why they lost the game. He grabbed on the jersey, tugged on the jersey, and it was crazy. And it was the big play. And again, the 49ers said it all week that, hey, if you throw on this secondary, you can beat them. And that's what they did. The 49ers were right. All week, the 49ers were asked, how do you beat the Eagles? How do you beat the Eagles? And everybody's saying, oh, the Eagles, they can't be beat. Their defense is too good. Niners didn't. They're just talking. They're just talking to talk. It looks like the Niners were right. Ayuk said it. Robbie Gould said it. Debo Samuel said it. They were all right. They were vindicated in their media talks. All week, they said what they said. And they ended up being right. You know, as much as you can sit here and cry and whine about the penalties or whatever, they were right. Call it a buck. Niners players are right, and they were vindicated. They were. They was. Patrick Mahomes, he pushed the ball down the field, and he threw as he wanted, as he pleased. So Debo was right. It was funny that he called Bradbury trash. I wouldn't say he's trash, but he did have the big penalty of the game. That was crazy. And then Debo came at Quez Watkins, who deleted his tweet. Talking all that stuff, Debo came at Quez. That man deleted his tweet. And then Debo last night says, was I wrong? I was waiting for Debo to tweet. Miguel says Debo's like the Conor McGregor of the NFL. That guy, he is funny, man. He is so funny. This is what he says. He goes, so he said what he said, right, about Bradbury and how the 49ers or how the Chiefs are going to pass on them and, you know, throw it at the back end of the defense. He says the D-line makes the secondary better. He said the D-line makes the secondary better, which is true. And then he tweeted last night, believe me now? Debo got the last laugh, bro. Debo got the last laugh. At the end of the day, Debo got the last laugh. That was funny to me. Oh, man. And then Debo also said, he says, they had no reason worrying about what we were saying in the media. They wanted to tweet about us. They should have been focused on the game. I feel like that's one thing we said last week. The 49ers were kind of playing mind games. They were in their head. They were in the Eagles' heads all week because the Eagles players, the media, fans, they were all worried about the 49ers. I feel like that was kind of a plan that the 49ers did. They were playing 40 chess. They were playing chess out there. They were tweeting at the Eagles players. They were in their mind. And the Eagles were talking back. During the media week, they were answering questions about the 49ers. That's what everybody was talking about leading up to the Super Bowl. The 49ers. I don't know. It was kind of funny. I feel like the Niners knew what they were doing. If they weren't going to win the Super Bowl, they weren't going to let the Eagles win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, if they were like, okay, if we can't beat them, make them cry. Make the Eagles cry. Eagles cry. They lived rent-free in their heads. They had a full-ass condo in their heads, man. So, Sacktown said the Bengals couldn't do the same with the Chiefs since they ran their mouth before the game. Yeah, it's true. The 49ers didn't say anything before the game. The Bengals was talking Burrowhead. They didn't look smart afterwards. So just the way you play. You don't talk before the game. You talk after. And the 49ers, again, they didn't even really have their quarterback to get a chance in the NFC Championship game. So Team Money says no team won a game after they played us. Gotta love. You know what? I looked at that. Technically, it's not. When the tweet first came out, it was, the 49ers were 15-0. Or the 49ers opponents were 0-15. Sorry, the week after they played 49ers. Technically, it was 2 weeks since the Eagles played the 49ers, and it was 2 weeks when the Chiefs played the 49ers. The Chiefs won a game. The Eagles did it. So technically, you can't say that. But you're right. The teams that played the 49ers, after they play us, they don't win. That's it. We beat them up. You gotta love it. So technically, it wasn't 100%. I deleted the tweet because I was getting people were crying about it. I was like, I don't want to sit here and delete. I don't want to have to defend the technicality of it. But you're right. In a sense, teams that played the 49ers did not win the next week. You gotta love it. Anyone remember when the Eagles fans were hopping in these lives? They were quiet last night. It was kind of nice. They deleted all their messages to me. Had a lot of people that were in my DMs, and I was like, where you got now? They're all quiet. Nobody's saying anything. There was a video on social media I saw. Some Eagles fan broke his TV, although that would seem very scripted. There was a tag on the bottom. But obviously, these Eagles fans they're upset. They were crying in the streets. Jabari Smith on his IG story you guys saw, he was like, man, they woke me up from my sleep. I got to play Embiid tomorrow. And they're yelling. I get it. They lost. I know. Y'all need to shut up. Cope. That's what Jabari Smith said, NBA player. He said they're mad. The Eagles fans were on the streets rioting because they were so mad. But they were confident coming into this game. They were so confident. You gotta love it. And they'll find anything to blame. It was the refs. But we're literally, James Bradbury admitted, I was wrong. I fucked up. And they're going to need 10 years to mourn, says No Border. What's up, No Border Sports? They're going to need 10 years to mourn. Probably will. Oh, man. I don't know. Do you guys feel good knowing that the Eagles lost? I do. And, people said maybe you're salty, Raj. And yesterday, I was like, no, I'm not salty. I just don't want to bet against Mahomes. And Reed, I feel like that would be silly. Like, you can't bet against those guys. But now, after I've had a day to let it kind of marinate and sink in, yeah, you know what? I was salty. I was upset. And as we should be, the 49ers lost to the Eagles. There was no way I was going to root for the Eagles. The last team to beat the 49ers, the team that helped prevent them from making it to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, maybe I was a little salty. Maybe I didn't want to admit it, but I think I was. And you know what? I think most of us were because we didn't get a fair chance. Their fans were talking reckless before the game. They were throwing trash at people at the game, after they won. I had friends call me up that weekend and say, yo, Raj, I was at the Eagles game. They were throwing crap at me. They were saying racial slurs. I had mentions, DMs. People were calling me racial things. Like, it was sickening, dude. Like, so, you know what? I was going to root for the team that just took the Niners out of playoff contention. To me, it made no sense. Like, I get it. The Chiefs beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. That was a couple years ago. It sucks, but the Eagles did it this year. They did it this year. So, yeah, maybe I am a little salty. But guess what? And I don't have any hate for any of those guys like Jalen Hurts or whatever. He played phenomenal. A.J. Brown played phenomenal. He was great. Those Eagles, they have some great players. Not even going to say that they didn't because they played a good game. But you know what? They ran their mouth. The media was pressing the 49ers all week. All week, man. They were trying to get us to say some stupid quote. They're trying to get our players to say some quote. So you know what? Yes, I'm happy that the Eagles lost that game last night. I'm very happy. Do I care that the Chiefs won? No, I don't care about the Chiefs. Good for Mahomes. He's the new Tom Brady, basically. He's that guy. Andy Reid, he's that coach. That's the new dude. Like, those two guys are building a dynasty. You can't disrespect anything Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have done. Those two guys are phenomenal. I hate to admit it. Yeah, I hate it. Mahomes is great. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not. That's just silly. Mahomes is great. I wish the Niners had Mahomes. Nathan says, Eagles fans are the reason I can never root for them. 100%, man. Todd says, F these Eagles. Sacktown says, Eagles will overpay Hurts and lose all their cap space. Team won't last much longer. I mean, Hurts deserves whatever money he gets paid, but you're right. They might pay him a lot of money, may not be able to afford anybody. It's tough. And that's the thing, because Mahomes took a massive contract, huge contract, right? Millions of dollars, billions of dollars. And they don't have, they got rid of Tyreek Hill. They still found a way to win because Andy Reid knows how to utilize that talent. Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Pacheco. Pacheco's a rising star. Andy Reid, he knows what he's doing. I will say I was a little sick that Jerick McKinnon won a Super Bowl. Jerick McKinnon won a Super Bowl before a lot of these players on the Niners. Woo! Unbelievable. C-Mac says, Smitty and Jalen on Valentine's Day. Talk to him, C-Mac. My boy C-Mac's in the building. Let me tell you, man, we had a lengthy text exchange today in our group text between myself, Smitty, C-Mac, and Vlad. Vlad, he kind of hit the bricks after it got a little serious. But Smitty, man, he's full on in love with Jalen Hurts. He's full on in love. I'm telling you, man. Woo! He was defending him until the end of the day. Andy Reid, John says Andy Reid out-coached Sirianni. Bottom line, he did. Sirianni, great season, great year, but Andy Reid, he out-coached him. He was calm, cool, collected. I mean, he just drew up plays where the wide receiver was literally wide open. Wide open. Sirianni couldn't stop it. Yeah, props to Pacheco. Week 7, he exposed us, Andy Reid. Guy's a hell of a coach, man. He's a scary coach. It's hard to – you give that man 2 weeks. You give that 2 weeks to prepare for anybody, he's hard to beat him. Sacktown says, Smitty was talking reckless yesterday. Yeah, no, Smitty was talking reckless, man. I went back into the live, and he says he wasn't. He said he was. He was in his feelings, man. He was. We'll talk to Smitty today. I'm sure he will. We'll see if he wants to hop on one of these live. It's going to get spicy today, at some point today. I could already tell it's going to get a little entertaining, to say the least. Because if you can see these texts, man, it was pretty spicy. He was pretty upset last night. And C-Mac and myself, I feel like me and C-Mac are usually we're usually on the same page a lot of the time. And we just came at him. We just said, look, Smitty, you're wrong. We're right. Bottom line. I don't know. Obviously, I'm going to agree with my own opinion and C-Mac, but I mean, his arguments were so silly. It was so silly. They shouldn't be calling a penalty at that point of the game. Well, when should they call penalties? So just because it's the biggest part of the game, the biggest point of the game, you just say, okay, we're not going to call a penalty. Then that's stupid. You can get away with anything. The player should, what, are they going to face mask? No. There's only a minute left in the game. Don't call that face mask. If it's a penalty, you call the penalty. That makes no sense. That was his argument. Oh, it was the biggest point of the game. I can't believe the game was dictated on a penalty. Well, here's the thing. Don't hold the player. Don't call it. Don't create the penalty. Don't do it. Don't hold him. Cry, Smitty, cry. Cry. That's it. Bottom line. He was in his feelings. He wanted Jalen Hurts to win because he wanted his opinion to be right. Smitty hates being wrong. 100%. He hates to be wrong. And he can't admit that he was wrong. He wants an excuse. I said it. Live. For the masses. Smitty doesn't like to be wrong. And then Jalen, like C-Mac says, he fumbled the ball. That was the game. And then he says that we're saying that Jalen was exposed. If you look at the text thread, nobody, not a single one of us says that to Smitty. We never said that Jalen was exposed. We both said he played great. Jalen had a hell of a game. He was elite. He played like an MVP last night. Just not good enough to beat Patrick Mahomes. He lost. Turn in that fan card, Smitty. We know you're an Eagles fan. Smitty's bandwagon. But it is what it is. Hurricane says they blew a 10-point lead. I said that. I said, hey, at the end of the day, Eagles shouldn't have blown a 10-point lead. Defense should have played better. How about we talk about the 3 touchdowns they let up in the second half? That's why they lost. So, and then he was all trash in the Niners. I was a little mad because he was talking trash about the Niners and this. Oh, you guys fans have been crying. I said, we haven't been crying. People have been hating on us. People have been calling us crap. People have been pressing our players. What are we supposed to do? Sit here and take the shit that you're throwing at us? No, we're going to defend ourselves and say, hey, if we actually had a quarterback, we might have had a chance to win that game against the Eagles. Maybe Maybe they still beat us, but at least we want a fair shot. So, yeah, okay, well, of course we're going to be a little bit irritated. We're going to be a little irritated. And then he's saying, oh, all the Niner fans were crying. Nobody was crying. We were literally getting shit thrown at us. So if you get shit thrown at you, you're going to just sit there and take it? Nah, not me. 100% Izzy. Even Bradbury admitted. So at the end of the day, 49ers didn't win a Super Bowl. Neither did the Eagles. Neither did any other team except the Kansas City Chiefs. So Kansas City Chiefs are the only team to win a Super Bowl this year. And you know why? Because they have a great head coach that trusts his amazing quarterback. And that's what the 49ers need. Need to figure out the quarterback situation, bolster the line on the offensive side and defensive side. And there you go. That's it. Offseason is ready here. The offseason is already here. Time to get to work, fortify the trenches, and let's figure out the quarterback situation. I love it. I can't wait to see what happens this offseason. We'll go from there. Samuel says Jalen played his ass off. The only thing was his phone. Yeah, Jalen played great. He was elite. He showed himself. At the biggest stage, he played amazing. He made one mistake, and they lost because he made one mistake. That's it. Bottom line. David, this is it. D-line, O-line, figure out the quarterback. That's it. It sounds simple, but it's not. O-line, D-line, figure out the quarterback. I'm going to call Kyle and tell him. O-line, D-line, figure out the quarterback. Please, that's what you need to do. Speaking of the quarterback, what do we do? You guys tell me. I'm going to take 5 more minutes of your time. Let's talk about the quarterback. Who's going to be the quarterback? What happened? Brock Purdy's surgery is on the 22nd. Was that 9 days away? And I hope everything goes well with it. We'll know a little bit more into what type of procedure they may be doing. Obviously, right now, we all think it's going to be the repair, 6-month recovery. But we'll see 100% what actually happens on the 22nd if they reveal that information. So we'll see. Did I see CMC's father predicting next season Super Bowl? I did not. I should go look that up. Let me know. Charlie says Brock clearly. Obviously, Brock is healthy. He's the guy. I mean, he left no crumbs. Like I said, he came in this season and was amazing. He was phenomenal. He's a rookie. You can only imagine him getting better. But hopefully everything heals with that elbow. Big surgery. So, yeah, everybody, we saw what Purdy can do. He took this team to an NFC championship. So based off that, obviously, it's his job to lose. Just like Kittle said, I love Trey. I think he's a good young man. He's got a lot to prove. This is his offseason. To come in and prove without a shadow of doubt. Yo, I'm your guy. Give me my chance. He at least deserves his opportunity and his chance. But if he can't pan out, we know we have Purdy there waiting. So I believe in Lance. I hope he can get it done, but there's a lot of pressure on him. How can he recover from this injury? Because we know what we have in Purdy. If he's healthy and he comes back 100%, you can't deny what he did. You cannot argue what he did. So we'll see. Alberto says, San Francisco, Denver, huh? Well, I mean, he kind of has ties to both teams. I would love to see it. Denver, though, well, they do got Sean Payton, but can he take that team from rags to riches? We'll see. I don't think so. Sam says, my boy Trey needs to get ready to roll with all the wide receivers and running back. He needs to get ready to roll, period. 100%. We'll see. We will see. John says, Mahomes' athletic prowess shows we need to give Trey a chance to compete. And, you know, that's a good point because last night, both of those quarterbacks, their mobility was so phenomenal to watch. And I feel like that is something that Trey has that nobody else on this roster, like Purdy, obviously has. I'm not saying that Purdy isn't mobile, but Trey's mobility is a little bit better. You know, that's part of his game is that mobile aspect of his game. But he's coming off a massive injury. Will that affect his mobility? You know, will that affect his tendency to run and things like that? But he does have that skill set. I'm not going to say he's Mahomes, but he has the skill set of a player like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, maybe he can elevate that offense, but he has to kind of figure it out. He still hasn't played a lot of football in a long time. So there's a lot of small little nuances he needs to get. And again, Purdy has shown he knows those little nuances. and he seemed like a leader on the field. So going to be an interesting offseason. Whatever happens, I'm going to support whoever they put out there and they trot out at quarterback. We'll see. And they're going to get a veteran. There's going to be a lot of crazy things that happen that we don't expect because every year it happens. I'm just going to say this. Expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected. So we'll see. I love you guys. Have a good Monday. Appreciate you for hopping on for a little bit of time. Monday is going to be a fun day today. We'll see. I'm going to hop on a little later with Larry Krueger. We'll talk about Super Bowl and everything else in between. We'll see what happens. Hopefully there's some big news this week. I hope we get some good news. And you guys take care. Let's have a good off season. I'll be live throughout the off season. Hopefully you guys tune in. We'll talk a lot and, have a good rest of your day. Have a good week. It's the off season, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you'll all take care. Hit that like button. Bang, bang. Not again.